Welcome to Fairview Baptist Church in Lindsay. Not only do we want to minister to the people who regularly attend Fairview, but we also want to minister to those who live within the city of Kawartha Lakes with the good news of Jesus Christ. Come on in and join us for worship. It is our prayer that you'll be blessed.
Teddy bear. Anyone have any idea? Why do you have a teddy bear?
Because it helps you sleep.
It helps you sleep. Yeah. Now I know I probably shouldn't be sleeping right now, but I am. And I need my teddy bear. You know why? Because when I go to sleep, whether I'm having a good dream or a bad dream, my teddy bear is with me, and I feel safe. So that's why I have a teddy bear. Maybe you have a teddy bear for a different reason. I don't know, but that's why I have my teddy bear. And now that I have him, I think I should go back to bed. If you need me, I'll be up on Tuesday.
This morning, yeah, I think I'm turned on. There. Okay. This morning, we're just letting the big people in on it, okay? But it's us. And this morning, I'm going to tell you a story, all right? And I thought about dressing up for the part, but I couldn't figure out how to do that. So you're going to have to use your imagination, all right? You're going to have to really think. And this is a special story because it's from this book. That means it's a God story. It's a true story. And I want you to think about it, okay? This is special, all right? Things are terrible. And it looks like they're not only bad, but they're going to get worse. See, we're Jewish people. And we have a new king, and we're trying to get things together, but our army's tiny. We only have 3,000 soldiers in our army. Okay? The king, King Saul, he's got 2,000. And Prince Jonathan, his son, he's got 1,000. Now, Prince Jonathan had a fight with the Philistines, and he won. But his father wanted to take all the credit for it. And the Philistines got really, really, really angry. And they put together a special army. Now, get this. King Saul's got 3,000. The Philistines have 30,000 chariots. They have 6,000 men on horses, cavalry. And they have more soldiers than anybody can count. Well, the people of Israel, they just got more scared and more scared and more scared. They got beyond teddy bear scared. And they started hiding. They started hiding in caves. They started hiding in holes in the ground. They started hiding behind rocks. And even some of them started hiding in tombs. They were so frightened. And then some people started leaving the army. We call them deserters. They got frightened. And some of them not only left the Jewish army, they joined the Philistine army. What a mess. And as we start our story, King Saul has only got 600 soldiers left. It looks like this is going to be the last day of the Jewish nation. And furthermore, they're in real trouble. They don't have any weapons. The Philistines came in and they took all the blacksmiths out of Israel. Now, back in those days, you needed blacksmiths to make anything out of metal. You couldn't go to the store and you went to a blacksmith. And where there was no blacksmith, you couldn't buy swords, you couldn't buy farm implements, you couldn't sharpen anything. If you wanted to sharpen a hoe, you had to go down to the Philistines and they charged you an arm and a leg. It was bad. And so these men are underneath a pomegranate tree. That's a crazy headquarters for an army, isn't it? Under a pomegranate tree. And they're all discouraged. They got no weapons except hoes and forks and pitchforks and stuff like that. It looks ridiculous. And they're depressed. And oh, I forgot to tell you. They're stuck in a canyon. You know what a canyon is? It's a big valley with steep sides. And this canyon was closed at the end. There was a steep end to it. You couldn't get out of it. So the only way was out the other end. And there were two big hilly rocks. They were massive, with just a narrow space down the middle, and that was the only way out. The problem was there were Philistines on the top of one rock, and there were Philistines on top of the other rock, and they wouldn't let anybody out. And so the army's stuck. They're discouraged. They have no idea what to do. And that's when King Jonathan came up to me. You see, I was just an ordinary soldier. I'm pretty young. Ordinary soldier in the army. And because so many people left the army, they made me the armor bearer to the prince. Now, when there was a battle, the enemy would try to get hold of the king and kill him, and get hold of the prince and kill him, and then they would win the battle. So the prince was under a lot of pressure, and I was there to help him. I had spare parts if his armor broke or something. I had spare parts for him. But more than that, when he was fighting, sometimes he would knock people down, but they'd get back up, but they'd be behind him and they could attack him from the back. And somebody had to defend his back. That was my job. So if he knocked somebody down, it was my job to finish them off. So Jonathan, everybody's under this tree. They're all scared. Nobody knows what to do. And Jonathan looks at me and he says, quiet. So we sneak out of the camp. Nobody knows that we're left. And when we get down the valley a little bit where nobody in the army can hear us, Jonathan says, I got a plan. I got a plan. I got it to figure it out. God can save by a few people just as easily as he can save by many. So you and I are going to take on the Philistines. And perhaps God would help us. You and I. I could have said a lot of things at that time. Like, Jonathan, I don't think you got underneath that pomegranate tree, and I think the Mediterranean tons fried your brain. Oh, you know. Or I could have said, what do you mean we? What's this business about perhaps God will help us? I want something more definite than that. I didn't say any of those things. You see, we're talking about ordinary people with extraordinary faith. Now, you can't call Jonathan an ordinary person. He's a prince. His father's the king. That's hardly ordinary. But I'll tell you one thing. They don't come more ordinary than me. I'm just an ordinary soldier in the army. And I may be a little bit bigger than some of the other guys, and that's why they made me the armor bearer. But I'm nothing special. And I couldn't come up with a plan in 1,000 years. I'm not that kind of person. I don't have a brain for that. But Jonathan came up with a plan. And I heard his plan. And I said, Jonathan, whatever you want. My heart is with your heart. We beat as one. Let's go for it. And the two of us sneak off down the valley toward the Philistines on the top of these big rocks. Well, we get to the bottom of the rock. And man, do you know what Prince Jonathan does? He steps right out in the open where all the Philistines can see him. And I'm thinking, oh man, I thought he would sort of surprise them. Now he's giving us away. He's making it more difficult. And then he turns to me and he said, if they tell us to come on up, we'll know God is with us. You want us to climb the rock? We're going to have to go hand over hand. How do you fight when you're climbing? They're on the top. They have the advantage. What are you trying to do, Jonathan? And Jonathan has this crazy, crazy good faith. He just believes that you organize things so that if God doesn't show up, you're fried. You're toast. God has to show up. That's what faith is about. And he doesn't give me a chance. He just starts climbing. And I've got no choice. I have to start climbing up after him. And we get up near the top, and the Philistines think this is a joke. Ha! We can get these guys. This is going to be simple. And one guy comes to Jonathan, and Jonathan knocks him down, and I finished him off. There's only 19 more to go. The next guy comes, and I don't think he saw what happened. But he went down too. And in a few minutes, there were no Philistines left. The top of the rock was cleared. Well, there are people on the other rock, the Philistines on the other rock, they saw what was happening. And they panicked. They said, I think what they said was something like, our gods have forsaken us. The Israelites, their God is with them. We're stuck. And they started running, and they ran into the middle of the army, and they're throwing up their hands and saying, we're done for, we're done for, we're done for. It's ridiculous, but they're doing this. And all of a sudden, the Jews that had deserted and joined the Philistine army realized that the Jewish side was going to win, and they switched back. And they're right in the middle, and so they started fighting from within. And they had swords because the Philistines gave them swords. And then the people in the caves, and the people in the holes in the ground, and the people behind the rocks, and the people in the tombs. They started coming out, and they had pitchforks and hoes and shovels. They looked crazy, but they came out and they started fighting with what they had. And finally, King Saul under the pomegranate tree says, "What's going on?" He was the last person to clue in. And 598 men left under the pomegranate, and they joined the fight. And by the end of the day, King Saul's army had won. It was a tremendous victory. I got a couple of questions for you. And just maybe they'd be good questions for the big people. What plans do we have that are so big that they won't work unless God shows up? In Hebrews says that without faith, it is impossible to please God. And if God is asking us to do something, and it really is His will, our first response should be, I can't. I can't. And if you and I think we can do it, we don't know His will. In Romans it says, if it's not of faith, it's sin. When you say to me, Pastor Bill, I could never come up with a plan like that. I'm just not that kind of person. I'm like the armor bearer. Maybe you need to find somebody who's got a big plan and join them in their plan. That's pretty exciting. When we hang around people with big faith, you know what that does for us? It gives us crazy good faith too. And I want you kids to grow up, and I want you to believe that God can use you to do something special. I want every one of you to believe that God can use you to do something special, really special. And sometimes you won't be able to do it alone. And you'll need somebody to help you. And you catch crazy good faith from crazy good faithful people. Now, the last few Sundays, every Sunday, we've had somebody share their story. And it's been neat. It's been exciting. And we got some very special people who are going to share their stories this morning. And Ruth is going to interview them.
Well, good morning. It is my privilege to be up here this morning with two very special friends of mine, and they want to share a little bit about their faith and what God has been doing in their life. As you can imagine, it's actually quite scary to sit up here and look out at all of your wonderful smiling faces. So before we begin, why don't you give them a little bit of encouragement and thank them for being brave enough to come on up here. All right, we're going to start with a nice, easy question. Can you tell us what your name is and how old you are?
I'm Emily, and I'm 9. My name is Christopher, and I'm 9.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Okay, so Emily and Christopher. Emily, we're going to start with you. Can you tell us something that God has done for you in your life?
He's gave me good friends and a good school to go to.
And Christopher, what has God done for you in your life?
Gave me good friends.
Awesome. Emily, can you remember when you became a Christian?
I was 4 years old, and I asked my mom if I could pray him in my heart, and she, we had a talk to see if I knew what it meant, and then she took me to the kitchen and lifted me onto the counter, and I repeated after her a prayer.
And Christopher, do you remember when you became a Christian?
Yeah.
Christopher said he prayed with his mom and dad, if you missed that. Okay, so you both said that you believe in Jesus and you're a Christian. Can you tell everyone here, what does it actually mean to be saved, to be a Christian?
It means that he'll forgive our sins and we'll get to go to heaven.
Do you want to add anything to that, Christopher? Yeah, okay. Christopher's thankful for, sorry, I should use the microphone. Christopher's thankful for his faith was what that one was. Okay, Emily, how do you know that God is real?
I talk to him and I feel him talking back to me.
Awesome. Christopher, how do you know that God is real? How do we talk to God?
Praying.
And do you pray to God?
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So our last question for this morning, and we're going to start with Emily here again, is who helps you learn about God and grow in your faith?
My Sunday school teachers and my parents.
Awesome. And Christopher, who helps you learn about God and grow in your faith?
My parents.
Your parents? Yeah. Thank you very much. Well, let's thank our friends for being up here and sharing. For those of you who don't know me, who I haven't had a chance to meet yet, my name is Ruth Morden, and I am the Director of Children's Ministries here at the church. And it has been my honor and my privilege to work with your children for the past year, to be part of a team of volunteers that spend so much time, so much energy, making sure that what we offer here is true, first of all, that it's coming from the Bible, that it's relevant and it's exciting for what our kids want to be learning and doing. But most of all, that it's helping you as families and parents with your incredibly awesome task of raising your children in a godly home. You've probably heard us say many, many, many times here at the church that one of our values is the next generation, and that it's very true. We value our children, we value our young people as they grow up because we want them to become people who love God, who want to give their lives in service to Him. Now, what that means, though, isn't that we go out and spend thousands of dollars buying the best curriculum, providing the best programs, although we do try to do that. But what it means is that we value where the children are getting the most of their spiritual development and their growth in their faith. And that's at home. As parents, you have such a difficult task of raising your kids in a way that honors God, in a way that helps them grow to be men and women of faith, whether they're 4 years old, 14, 40, or a little older. And we here at the church, we value that, and we know that your job is difficult. And we know that there's days where you feel like a failure, you feel like you haven't done enough, and you want to go home and curl up with your teddy bear because he's the only one that understands. When you have those moments, that's where we come in as Fairview Kids, as the children's ministry here. We want to be your teddy bear. We want to help you in what we know is a very difficult task. There's a lot of different ways we do that, and I'd be happy to talk to you specifically about them if you want to know. But one of the things we're really working hard at is our communication with our parents. We want you to know exactly what's going on, downstairs when we have your children. Because if you know what we're doing, that's just going to help what you can do at home. If we're learning Bible verses here at the church, we want you to know about it so that you can be helping and supporting that at home. Because our goal, our desire, our vision here at Fairview Kids is to help you parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, the whole family, just do the best job that you can do in what looks and feels often like an impossible task. So that's our prayer, and that's our vision here at Fairview. And if you'd like to talk more about that, I would love to have a conversation with you. There's many of our volunteers that are here, and I'm sure they would love to talk to you as well. But I believe we have another song to sing.
It is our desire to encourage you through this program. If you do not yet belong to a church, we'd love to have you come and connect with us. We have programs for all ages. If there is a spiritual need, or if you have been blessed through our service, we'd love to hear from you. You can contact us during regular office hours by phone, or you can email us. Thank you for watching our service. May God bless you.